Hi guys, welcome back. And everyone knows what they're here for, so I'm not going to waste any time. Let's get going. But I do just want to give a short message. I've recorded this thing twice now. The old software just didn't work. It sounded bad. It either didn't load sometimes. It added a static noise. I had a really unfun time with it. I got it to work once, and it was for this video, and then it crashed. So I'm a little bit stressed out. So if I'm rushing things in this part, I'm sorry. I just need to do it. That's all. We meet back up with our heroes, who have just met back up with their friend and ally Jacko. The Galactic Patrol officer is shocked here that they are so confident, and he asks if they are sure. The pair nod at one another, and they are very confident about their abilities. Jacko doesn't ask too many questions and trusts them. He gestures for them to come inside the ship, with them doing so and catching up on what they have missed. Jacko explains all the events that had gone down while they were in the time chamber, with him explaining how the Freezer Force do believe the pair to be dead. And this was decided by the likes of Vegeta and Nappa. You see, the two had decided after not hearing from the likes of Kakarot and Raditz for a week that they would head to the planet they were sent to, where the ship's last transmission was picked up from. And upon arriving at the pod's coordinates, they see two what they assume to be pod crashes. It looks like they crashed upon impact and blew up. With them not believing that this would have killed the Saiyans, they begin to search the planet for a few hours. With no luck, and they even notice that the planets here on the planet haven't even been attacked. There's not even a small amount of damage done to them. They assume that maybe they had died in the impact. It's not very a safe guess, but it's the only thing they've got. They do know they were weaklings, but that's embarrassing. With them finishing off the mission for Frieza, they head off and report what had happened. Frieza doesn't care, but he is upset that his favourite pair of monkeys is gone, instead of the prince. But it doesn't stop the flow of work throughout the Force, and eventually they are just sort of forgotten. There is a little bit of talk, but that's all. No one really knew them, and the one person who did know them is sad to hear their death. The person I'm talking about was Lemo. Lemo had met the two only once or twice, and he got to know them thanks to Goku's kind heart. Once seeing the man moving stuff around, he offered to give him a hand. This was much earlier on when Goku was younger, and Lemo appreciated this, and Lemo got to see that not all Saiyans are bad and actually are quite nice. For the most part, the two he had met were very nice, even though he had only met them once or twice. He is sad to hear how they have died. But back with our heroes, Jacko continues to fill them in on what they had missed out on. Not too much has happened. Keep in mind, Frieza doesn't know about the attack that's incoming. The fact that the Galactic Patrol had avoided Frieza for so long has led to him just forgetting about them, sort of. Alongside this, the two Saiyans that are going to be the biggest issue are assumed to be dead, so he is just going by life normally. With the three heading towards a planet where they are setting up the base to begin their attack, they pass by a weird ship. None of them really take too much note of it, but Raditz sees a weird logo on it, and he feels like it's familiar but can't place it. But for the most part, the three continue to get caught up and actually fall into having a bit of banter with one another. Jacko does like the two Saiyans. Even though he likes Goku a bit more, he doesn't mind Raditz. Now, it only takes them a day to arrive at the planet where the attack is getting prepared on, and once they arrive there, they walk in on a meeting where the Galactic King is trying to rally his men, explaining how they will be taking down Frieza, that villain, the monster, alongside all of his men. And he says how it's to make sure that his men understand that they can't kill people without it being absolutely required. His the villains need to be thrown away and left to rot, not killed. Do what they need to do to defend everyone. With people clearly looking nervous, and obviously so, Frieza is a tyrant. He's probably killed people's families. He's probably made people in the Force join. And Raditz, able to read the room, shouts out that they don't have to worry about Frieza. They have the power of the Saiyans on your side. Me and my brother will do our best to make sure all of you survive. With Raditz smiling while saying this, however, he's shaking down to his core at the promise he has just made. He knows he can't keep it, but the room does lighten up a bit. People clearly trust the two Saiyans, with everyone heading to go rest and get ready for the next day's attack. And Raditz and Goku start heading to their own quarters to rest. They had just spent a year training. They do need a bit of downtime. But They are stopped by the Galactic King, who asks the pair if they have a plan. Goku turns towards the king and says how, "Oh, we're gonna hit them all really hard." But soon gets serious, seeing the king looks very nervous. He goes on to explain how they are only going after the big powers, people such as Zarbon, Dodoria, and maybe Kui, alongside the Saiyans if they are also there. This would give his men a better chance of just taking down the low-life grunts, the footmen, if they will, and then, whenever it's needed, they'll take care of Frieza. They plan to be the distractions so that his men can do well and not die. With the king having calmed down at hearing this plan, he tells the pair to rest up, and they do this. Goku and Raditz start heading back to their own quarters. However, Raditz makes a detour, saying how he just needs to go do something. Goku agrees, and the next day rolls around. Raditz has gotten up before Goku, and he's changing his armor. He's got something new, and he needs to put it on to comfort himself. Goku wakes up and sees his brother looking very different. He asks him what's going on, and Raditz shouts out that he's got some new armor from the Galactic Patrol. He had it made in the design of fathers, with Goku realizing how they had never really talked about their parents. He asks if there's a reason for that, and Raditz realizes that maybe before they head into battle, it would be the right thing to do to explain to Kakarot. I think he knew about their parents if he wants to know. With him sitting down next to his brother, he asks if he would like to know about their parents, with Goku nodding. Well, I guess I would describe father as one of the greatest soldiers to ever live. He would always come back from missions, unfazed and seemingly unharmed. Doesn't matter what sort of battle he went through. He was a genius tactician, a proud warrior, and the toughest person I had ever met. Alongside that, he was also different from other Saiyans. He cared about us. And any time he was in the room, I would feel a little bit safer. It's hard to describe, but I guess I always wanted to turn out like him. I wanted to be this incredible warrior that people looked towards for hope, but I never really did that. I sort of became a coward, too scared to fight, stuck under Frieza and Vegeta's rule. I guess this armor was some way to make me feel like father, brave and like there was nothing stopping me. Hopefully, it'll give me a small bit of confidence in this upcoming fight. But mother, you would have loved her. She was a big softy, just like you. Nothing like a Saiyan. I had never met someone like her until, of course, I had met you, little brother. She always tried her best to help out, whenever she could. She would try and do whatever she could to help, and she hated fighting. As much as she hated it, if it called for it, she would defend you, me, Dad, at all costs. We really were the things she loved most. And she was someone who shouldn't have been killed. That damn meteorites. I wish there was a way to bring them back, because you would have loved them, and they would have loved you. But that's for a different time. It's clear to Goku that that was very important to Raditz, that they were very big people in Raditz's life. He tries to comfort his brother by grabbing his shoulder, and the pair sit there just silently for a few seconds before Raditz jumps up, saying how they need to head off. It's time to get ready to fight. With Goku agreeing, the pair go meet up with Jacko, who's clearly uneasy about what's about to happen. However, he does have a bravado on, trying to seem confident, knowing that that will help others stay confident. With them walking into a room to hear the final briefing, the atmosphere in the room is fear and nervousness. This is probably one of the biggest battles that any of them here would go through. And even Raditz and Goku are agreeing with this feeling. They know they need to show their confidence, because they are the main force here. Raditz once again tries to rally the troops. He shouts out how, "Today is the day that Frieza falls, and he will feel the power of the Galactic Patrol." With everyone tensing up a little bit, shocked by the sudden outburst from the Saiyan, Goku smacks his older brother over the head, telling him not to get overconfident. They haven't won the battle yet. With Raditz already knowing this, he explains how the room just needed some confidence. With this making everyone chuckle a little bit, seeing the brothers mess around, it does ease everyone a small amount. But it's soon time to get to battle stations. People begin to board up their ships, with Goku and Raditz getting into Jacko's ship, being next to massive ships which are used for containment. They are really nervous. A radio is handed to the likes of Goku and Raditz, with a countdown going on over the ship's radios. Countdown begins, and after a few seconds, everyone is sent shooting off into space. There's no conversation over the radio. There's not even a singing, not even the sound of tapping of feet. Everyone is scared, but they need to be ready. The ships begin to rapidly approach Frieza's planet, and that's when they are picked up on the radars of Frieza's planet. Suddenly, sirens begin to burst out all around the planet, with Frieza getting informed of what's happening. He laughs at the thought that someone is attacking him with ships, and explains how Zarbon, Dodoria, QE, go have fun. If you see Vegeta and Nappa, tell them they're allowed to go all out as well. Before everything gets too seriously going. Eventually, reports of it being galactic patrol ships does interest Frieza. Does pay close attention to his scouter now. With the galactic patrol ships entering the atmosphere, Goku and Raditz burst out of their ship, trying to keep their power as minimalistic as possible so they can figure out who's on the planet and not be detected by scouters. They can sense Frieza instantly, and they feel that they are far above the tyrant and relax a bit. However, they don't get overconfident. There is rumours that he can transform, and they don't want to test these rumours. With the pair then making sure that they know where everyone is, they get loads of Frieza soldiers confronting them, with the two of them having blasters pointed at them from every angle. A quick gush of wind sends the soldiers falling, with Goku's hair jumping back a little bit. With this done, these soldiers are down, and the Galactic Patrol ships land on the planet, and this is where the true battle begins. Blaster bolts are being flung around the sky and lighting it all up. The likes of Goku and Raditz have split up to try and help out individual squads, and also take down the bigger powers. Goku heading towards the likes of Zarbon, Dodoria, and QA, and Raditz heading towards Vegeta and Nappa. Lands in front of Zarbon and Dodoria first. The aliens are shocked to see Kakarot is alive, with Zarbon laughing a little bit, saying how is this why the Galactic Patrol finally grew some balls? And if the likes of you is gonna stop me, you're a lowly Saiyan. I assume your stupid brother has joined them as well. Oh, where is he? We've missed you so dearly. And for a moment, they aren't worried. However, a real threat suddenly appears on the scouters. Goku releases a small display of his power, and Dodoria begins to stutter up the words 1,000, 2000, with all three stepping backwards to escape Kakarot and trying to suck up to him, saying how, oh, we didn't mean it, we just wanted to, mess around with you. We're friends, right? But suddenly, Goku appears behind them, kicking all three, knocking them out. He gets down to his knees and says how, you really shouldn't have underestimated us Saiyans. You probably shouldn't have left any of us alive, actually. Heck, your biggest mistake was insulting my family. And, enjoy your time in prison. He radios in the fact that he took these three down before getting a radio in saying some soldiers need some help. Goku heads over there, effortlessly takes down some soldiers. With this being done, let's jump over to Raditz. Raditz is giving covering fire to any patrol members he sees. Eventually he runs into Jacko, who's fighting off a big group of soldiers alone. He sends a massive blast down, wiping out a lot of them, and also not hurting Jacko. With him and Jacko sharing a quick thumbs up, Raditz rockets off, and he lands in front of the likes of Vegeta and Nappa. With them seeing him, there's a bit of an awkward silence, but Vegeta and Nappa already sort of had this idea. They heard something about Saiyans, and they heard something about someone taking down Zarbon, Dodoria, and Kui in one attack with a power level of 100,000-ish. They are amazed, especially because from what they can tell, this could have been Raditz. They have a bit of an awkward moment where Raditz lands in front of them and they stare everyone down. No one says anything until Raditz puts his fingers up and gestures for them to come and get him. With Vegeta enraged, he rushes at the low-class warrior. However, Raditz begins to effortlessly dodge everything thrown at him, with him throwing one punch at Vegeta, hitting the prince and stopping him dead in his tracks. The prince begins to backtrack a little bit and cough up blood. Alongside this, a shockwave which travelled through Vegeta's body destroyed the building behind the prince. With Raditz pushing Vegeta off him now, he holds his gut while wobbling. He tries to figure out what's going on, clicking his scouter. With Nappa already having beat him to it, Nappa reads out 200,000. With Vegeta looking horrified, the prince looks at Raditz, who hasn't moved since he was last attacked, with the Saiyan saying how, I have a lot more power than that stupid scouter is picking up. I don't need that anymore. But I won't even use a quarter of my power to defeat you. Heck, I've been able to defeat you for years. And once this is said, Vegeta gets his breath, stands in confused awe, and is enraged at how the low class warrior has gotten ahead of him, with the final straw that broke him being the bit that Raditz believes he could have beat him years ago, with Vegeta sending a barrage of ki blasts towards Raditz, screaming how, it isn't possible, that must be a malfunction of the Scouter, and screaming how he's the elite, he's the prince, he's the one who will defeat Frieza. However, his barrage finally stops once he runs out of steam. With smoke covering the area, Vegeta begins to laugh, believing he had killed Raditz. With Nappa about to begin to laugh, the sound of thunder is heard behind Vegeta, with him turning around to see Raditz having kicked Nappa in the side, which had sent an echo out throughout the entire planet. And once this is done, Nappa goes flying into the distance, with Vegeta hardly able to see him anymore. With this done, Raditz doesn't stop his assault here. He quickly rushes towards Vegeta, grabbing the prince by the collar and staring him down. Look, as much as you don't deserve it, I'm going to give you a chance to leave the planet with your friend over there. After all, we are the last Saiyans remaining. However, if I ever catch wind of you doing anything evil, I will personally hunt you down. I'm a Galactic Patrol officer now, a member of this proud force. But I also understand that we are the last surviving Saiyans, and I understand that my race needs to survive. So as much as you don't deserve it, Prince, as much as you don't deserve the title of Prince, as much as you have been abusive to me and my brother, I will give you a chance to leave. He quickly throws Vegeta to the side and begins to head off. Vegeta sits there in shock, and anger once again begins to bubble up. However, this time it's fueled by fear for Raditz. The prince throws one more punch while screaming how he is elite, but Raditz doesn't even turn around to stop him. Raditz quickly lifts his elbow up with enough force and knocks the prince out. He radios in that he had taken down the Saiyans and that they are over here to come and collect, before heading off and suddenly sensing a massive power increase. A massive blast, it almost felt like. The pair sensed the power of Frieza. It increased, but not like a transformation, like he let off a blast. With him stopping in his tracks, Jacko sees this and asks what's going on. Raditz doesn't respond, and he begins to rocket off towards the power of Frieza. Goku is doing the same, and the two brothers meet up along the way. Raditz apologizes, saying he showed off too much power, and it just drove him mad that Vegeta was so insane. With Goku saying it's fine, they just need to get there and stop whatever he's doing. But upon arriving, they are too late. They see Frieza in his first form, holding the bodies of some Galactic Patrol officers, and the tyrant sees the pair, and he laughs, saying how, it's funny seeing you two again. We all thought you were dead, but then again, you're about to be, so I won't go changing your status. After all, you stupid monkeys betrayed me. You brought the patrol officers to my front door. You hurt my favorite minions. Well, I guess it's full circle though, isn't it? I did destroy that planet of yours. With Raditz hearing this, he feels a shock of anger, of just intense rage rush through his body, and he begins to power up like he's never done so before. The sheer force he is letting out begins to topple buildings around him, and he understands now what truly happened to his family, his race, his friends, and he stares down Frieza the entire time. Frieza's scouter, which is still intact, begins to beep like crazy. He reads out finally a power level of 3.5 mil, with Frieza feeling fear for the first time for only a few seconds, before he says, that was cute. My turn, and begins to transform himself. He jumps straight up to his third form. With the two wanting to have stopped him, they just couldn't. Raditz was still in the middle of showing off his power, and it just wasn't a good enough time to do so. With Frieza done, Raditz disappears and reappears in front of Frieza, kicking the tyrant straight in the gut, sending Frieza sliding backwards. The two are evenly matched right now. With Frieza laughing, seeing that it might have touched a nerve, bringing up, his dead family, the two begin to clash. Raditz is ahead, thanks to the fact that he's been taught martial arts from Goku. Alongside that, he's probably winning in terms of power. He's also can fight dirty by blinding Frieza, thanks to the fact he can sense ki. He has every advantage going for him. However, Frieza is no joke, and Frieza is doing his own little bit. Eventually, the Tyrant realizes that he does need to transform, and he breaks away from Raditz, trying to go to his final form. However, once he does this, he is hit by a blast from Kakarot, which stops him in his place. Kakarot says how they can't let him change again. This is too strong now, and if they do it once more, he could become stronger than both of them put together. With this being said, Frieza begins to panic. However, he thinks fast and realizes how the brothers are, and he gets ready to fight. But he places his arms out to the left and right. He sends off two massive ki beams in both directions, and that area is riddled with Galactic Patrol warriors and also some fighters from his own force. Now you have a choice, monkeys. Stop the blasts, or stop me and let those innocent people die. With this being said, the brothers didn't even hear the end of this conversation. They had already rocketed off towards the blast to try and stop them. Frieza laughs, looking forward to seeing the pair not be able to stop them, but it's clear that Goku's and Raditz are actually fast enough to sort of keep up with them. Goku doesn't want to risk not being able to get in front of the beams and begins to charge up a Kamehameha, and he shoots it straight towards where the beam was going, destroying the beam in its tracks, with this saving everyone nearby area who would have been caught in the blast. Jacko was also one of these, and he looks towards Goku, giving him a nod before getting back to fighting the Frieza Force members he had there. But the likes of the Galactic Patrol are winning this battle. They have got a lot of the Frieza Force soldiers and the Saiyans, Zarbon, Dodoria, and Kui into the massive containment ships and are almost ready to head off, but they're just waiting for Frieza. With the Galactic Patrol having pretty much won this fight, but we still have one more beam we need to stop. Over with Raditz, the Saiyan had kicked it into high speed, into high gear. He had currently producing speed he didn't believe was possible. He's neck and neck with the beam and just manages to pull ahead of it thanks to some smart maneuver. And once he gets ahead of the beam, it's out a huge wave of his own energy, which stops the blast completely and saves the soldiers behind him. He gets back to getting ready to fight. However, him and Goku can sense the power of Frieza, increasing his power. Both grit their teeth and go to what their first plan was to deal with Frieza if he had transformations. Both on opposite sides of Frieza form up ki blasts. Goku the Kamehameha, and Raditz begins to charge up a double Sunday. The pair begin to charge these attacks and throw them towards Frieza once they feel his power spike. And with this done, the two attacks meet and collide with Frieza, causing a massive explosion to happen which destroys the tower Frieza was on, and also causes a lot of the battles around the area to halt. This is happening and everyone knew where Frieza was. Lots of the Frieza force lose its nerves here and begin to surrender, with the Galactic Patrol beginning to cheer. Well, everyone begins to cheer, but Raditz and Goku. Jacko can see that Goku isn't cheering and asks what's happened. Goku looks towards Jacko and just tells him, get everyone to retreat right now. Jacko is confused and goes back at Goku asking why. But Goku, for the first time Jacko has ever seen him, shouts out that, get everyone out of here, now! Jacko doesn't ask any more questions and he sends out the order. With people confused, they do trust Jacko, being as though he's quite a high rated officer. And once they start to retreat, Jacko turns around to see the smoke around the tower is clearing, and he can see someone stood on top of there. With his hands out, Jacko can see it's Frieza thanks to his great eyesight, and he makes the retreat a lot more urgent. Obviously, Raditz and Goku know something he doesn't, and the retreat becomes a lot more rushed. Everyone is trying to get back to the ships as fast as possible. A lot of the Frieza Force members do try to fight back to escape, but they can't. So radios into Goku saying how the pair need to get out of here now, but Goku explains how they can't do that, they need to buy time for these lot to get out of here. With Jacko saying how he'll leave his ship then once we've left the atmosphere, you guys get out of here. Goku already knows there is no escape from this battle, but he doesn't tell this to Jacko. He thanks him and tells him to get out of here. With this done, both Goku and Raditz rush towards Frieza, both throwing a punch, hoping that the speed they gained will do a lot more damage. However, Frieza easily dodges both attacks, but this isn't where the Saiyans end their attack. Both quickly aim at one another and charge off one massive ki blast. With the two blasts connecting, it does hit Frieza, but once again, he doesn't feel the effect of this. With him going to grab both, he grabs hold of Goku with his foot, slamming him straight into the ground. Him turning towards Raditz and grabbing him with his tail, choking him out slowly. He begins to laugh, saying how, "Oh, now I remember you, Kakarot. I saw a Saiyan just like you when I tried to blow up that stupid planet of yours. He tried to stop me, what a fool, just like you. With Raditz once again feeling his anger flare up, his hair turns golden for just a second, but in that second he bites into Frieza's tail, doing a good chunk of damage to Frieza. Nothing major, but it made him release his grip. With this done, Raditz drops to the floor and kicks Frieza straight into the gut, sending him off his brother, and Goku gets up, with the pair knowing that they can't stop Frieza. They plan to at least do some serious damage to make it so whoever fights Frieza next has a much easier time. Frieza, having slid away a little bit, brushing off the dirt the brothers had put on him, he looks towards them, seeing them both breathe in and sink, before rushing towards him. Goku leads the charge, going for the first hit with a flurry of punches. Frieza does dodge all of them effortlessly, with Goku then kicking himself to the left, with Raditz then appearing behind him. It's a massive kick to Frieza's head, actually sending the Emperor backwards a little bit. With this done, Goku shoots the ground underneath Frieza, making a massive smoke screen. Frieza can't sense anything and he begins to shoot around randomly, with the pair dodging everything thanks to the fact they can follow the fight still. Actually, Goku flies straight towards Frieza. With Frieza having heard this, he goes to shoot a beam towards them, but Goku dodges it and lands a massive hammer arm, sending Frieza straight into the ground. And once this has happened, the sound of Frieza's body hitting the ground is Raditz's cue. Suddenly, a purple beam comes powering through the smoke and drilling Frieza straight into the ground. With this done, the brothers get ready to attack again. However, the scream of Frieza and a burst of energy clears the smoke away, showing how even though they hadn't hurt him much, there is a massive burn and bruise mark on his hand. This fills him with a little bit of joy, however it's soon overshadowed by the scream of Frieza saying how it actually hurt. Having felt some form of pain for one of the first times in his life, he begins to rush towards the two, using more power than original. And he begins to beat into Raditz, being the one who hit him the hardest. With Goku trying to intercept this fight, trying to save his brother, but the tyrant keeps knocking him away with his tail or his foot, just never letting him get close. With Goku knowing he needs to take a different approach, he flies up into the air and forms a Kamehameha. He shoots straight down towards the Emperor. With Frieza not wanting to take another blast like this, he throws Raditz straight into the beam. Well, he tries to. Goku has great control over this Kamehameha and immediately avoids Raditz, sending it around his brother and straight into Frieza. Frieza, not wanting to get hit by this, begins to fly away. He tries avoiding it for a while, but once Raditz gets his bearings back, Raditz begins to send loads of weak blasts towards him, which causes Frieza to make a split-time decision. He uses his eye beams to stop the Kamehameha, but gets hit by the weak blast, causing smoke to show up around him. However, Frieza has no interest in staying in the smoke this time. Immediately, he flies up out of it, trying to look towards where the Saiyans were. Seeing that they have gone, he begins to look around looking for them. But then he sees the galactic patrol ships beginning to take off. He aims one of his fingers towards them, however he soon feels his leg grabbed and thrown straight towards the ground. With him flying down with a great amount of force, he looks up to see Raditz had thrown him. He begins to look around to see what's happening. He sees Kakarot on the ground. His hand's currently to the floor, but soon in the air. Frieza sees a massive chunk of the ground flying towards him, with Frieza stopping it with his telekinesis. However, once he stops it, he is hit in the back by Raditz, kicking him. With the alien being knocked into the floating path, it soon explodes upon impact. Goku had set up some key mines in the nearby area where he was in the smoke. With this not doing so much but to annoy Frieza, he goes to attack Raditz. However, once again he turns around to see the Saiyan has already gone. The two have currently gone into hiding. Hopefully they can just survive this attack. You see, once Frieza turns towards the Galactic Patrol ships, he sees they have already left the atmosphere, and they are too far for his ki blast to hit. So he turns his attention back towards the Saiyans. He knows they're in this area. He will find them. He begins to send out a barrage of ki blasts straight towards the ground, blowing up what remains of his facility, blowing up his base. And after a while, he begins to scan the area. He's trying his best to kill these two Saiyans right now. However, with the entire building having fallen down, he's having to look for small movements in rubble. He sees a small movement at one point and shoots a beam straight towards it, blowing up the entire area, not even looking to make sure it was one of his men. And as he waits a little bit more, eventually another movement happens. With Goku and Raditz crawling out of the rubble, the pair have clearly been hit hard by the barrage of attacks from Frieza. The Emperor sees this and laughs. He's happy he didn't kill them just then. He looks towards them and says how, "I've had enough of playing around. You were very interesting. However, you were nothing compared to my final form." and you never really stood a chance against me once I got to this point. As the pair look at him, they are unable to stand, and he begins to charge up a supernova in his hands, saying how once he has blown up this super planet, he will sort out that super patrol like he should have years ago, with the likes of Raditz and Goku using each other to pull themselves to their feet. They stand there, and Raditz asks his brother if there's any chance they can make it to Jacko's ship. Goku looks towards his brother, shaking his head, saying how even if they made it there, I have no idea how to fly that thing, do you? Raditz laughs a little bit and says, no. The two brothers feel the power of the supernova increase, with the brothers looking at Frieza, and Raditz screams out, if we can't escape, followed by Goku shouting out, and we can't win? The pair both shout out, we might as well go out like warriors. With both charging up Ki Blasts, with using any energy they have left in them. Goku going for a blast with one hand, being as though one of his hands was really injured from the assault of blasts, trying to block one of them, whereas Raditz goes for a weekend. Frieza laughs at this idea as he charges up his supernova even more, eventually throws his attack towards the Saiyans, with the two brothers throwing their attacks towards the supernova. Both attacks combine and eventually collide with Frieza's supernova. For a moment they stop the supernova before it slowly begins to head towards them once again. However, it is clear that they are not going to survive here. That one small stop wasn't anything. Frieza's laughing is heard over the intense struggle the brothers are going through. With them forcing more power out than they originally thought they had left, they managed to slow the supernova down just a little bit more, but it's nothing. They've only brought themselves a few moments at best. The pair look at each other, and knowing that this is the end of the road, they sit there in silence for just a second before Raditz breaks it. I'm sorry, Kakarot. Goku gives his brother a weird look, and Raditz continues to explain. I took you away from everything and everyone you cared about, without even thinking how that would affect you, and now we are both here. I know you wouldn't tell me, but I knew something was wrong with you. You've been dreaming of Earth, and I don't know why you couldn't tell me. I know I wasn't a great big brother. I stole you away from everything you loved, and I know it's not Saiyan-like, but I'm happy I'm more like you than I originally was, and I'm sorry you couldn't share stuff like that with me. Goku looks at his brother, shocked to hear what he just said. He didn't know Raditz had caught on that he was still dreaming of Earth, and he feels kind of bad for not saying anything. With the heat of Frieza's attack growing closer, he says back to his brother, as much as I miss Earth, I haven't really enjoyed the last few years. I'm happy you took me all those years ago, as it's led to me getting to know my badass older brother. I also got loads stronger, stronger than I ever believed I possibly could. I got to learn about mom and dad. I had no family on Earth. I had friends who were great, but now I have an older brother. At least, in the end, you and me were close. Raditz nods, and the two do try everything they have left in them to stop this attack, but they just don't have it in them. After a few more seconds, the supernova grows ever so close, beginning to singe the hair on Raditz's head, and Raditz suddenly feels his brother's power disappear. He looks towards the left, seeing his brother is gone. He is confused and unsure of what happened, but he smiles. He hopes that some miracle had saved his younger brother. He hopes that he isn't here, but reality is he was more than likely killed by the attack before he even sensed anything. His final thoughts before getting engulfed in the attack from Frieza is him hoping that his younger brother, Kakarot, is okay. Now, this is where I'm leaving this part. It ends here, yes, and it's a shit place to end it, yes. Is it another cliffhanger? Yes. Am I sorry? Yes. But it just made sense for me to do it here. I hope people enjoyed this part, and now I do have some things I need to talk about. Like I said at the start, I tried some new recording software and I didn't like it. I tried it for what if my Chi-Chi became a Saiyan. It wasn't the best, but it was still my first time using it, so I gave it another try. However, it just crashed and crashed and didn't work and crashed. I think I was doing something wrong, and I'm not going to blame the software, but I just wasn't having a good time with it, so I've just gone back to what I originally had. But that's mean I had to re-record every video I had on hold. So this is the last one I've decided to do for today. but it's still annoying, and it means I'm not gonna be ahead of schedule, which is kind of annoying. So I hope people are okay with me going back to what it was. I know I got a complaint saying that it wasn't the best. Anyway, I hope people enjoyed this part. I wanted to make it somewhat interesting. I knew that Frieza and Goku's power, Goku being the stronger one, and I don't think I stated what his power was, but Goku actually outclassed Raditz by a small amount. He was only at 4 mil, so it wasn't too much. So I didn't see it necessary to say, but I just thought I should say. So I believed I could try and make the fight seem somewhat interesting. I didn't want to end the battle between Frieza and the brothers here, ever. This was never going to be the final part of this sort of saga. I don't really know what I'd call it, 'cause it's not necessarily the Frieza saga, so much as it's like the space saga. But it seems realistic. Frieza would toy with his food for a while, and eventually, when he takes them seriously, they would try his best. But before we get to part 4, I'm going to be covering the events on Earth and the Earthbound Warriors, because people have asked for it, I want to do it, and I'm looking forward to doing it. So I hope people are okay with that. That shouldn't take too long to come out, maybe a week or two. But I know what I'm doing my next 2 videos on is what if Tarbell came to Earth and what if King Cold went to Namek instead of the Ginyu Force, my next 2. However, by the time you have heard this, it's more than likely I've finished these scripts, so I'm probably working on the next few videos. But for the most part, I hope people enjoyed. I hope you have a great day or a good night, and I will see you next time.